بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين الحبيب المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته الكرام المنتجبين. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, all the praises are due to God, and may all the peace and the blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad and upon his purified progeny and the believers of his companions. And may the peace and the blessings of Allah be upon you, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We'll continue tonight with our Qur'an study. We'll study verse number 32, chapter 22, al-Hajj, inshallah, maybe 3-4 verses. Before that, I would like to wish you a blessed day of Friday. May this 8th day of Ramadan be as blessed as other days, and may Allah accept your deeds. So starting with verse number 32, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ذلك ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب.
In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, and these practices are benefits for you for an appointed term. Then their goal is the ancient house.
No, you have translated 33. Please translate 32.
That whoever honors the sacred practices commanded by God, indeed it reflects the devotion of the heart.
Yes, thank you. So the Quran, in these few verses that we've studied together through a few nights ago, talked about the rituals of Hajj. And now this verse says, whoever honors the sacred practices commanded by God. This is a translation of two words, Sha'a'ir Allah. And I was searching for the best translation for these two words. Of course, Allah is God. I was searching for the translation of the word Sha'a'ir. The word Sha'a'ir in Arabic is plural, and the singular is Sha'ira. What does Sha'ira mean? I have seen many commentators translate it into symbol, and the plural is symbols. I've seen also another translation that says the offerings of God. To be honest, I don't know if this is the best translation. Maybe, in my humble opinion, maybe the best translation would be the sacred practices of God. So fasting is a sha'ira. It's part of among the sha'air that God has commanded us to do. Prayers, giving charity, all those are sha'iras, or among the sha'air, among the sacred practices. In the Quran, there are a couple of other verses. One verse we will study later. But one verse in chapter 2, verse 158, it says, وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ. I'm sorry, it says, إِنَّ الصَّفَا وَالْمَرْوَةَ مِنْ شَعَائِرِ اللَّهِ. Safa, the mountains of Safa and Marwa are among the sha'airs, the sha'air of God. These are mountains and they are among the sha'air. Possibly because of this verse, translators translated the word into symbols. But still, in my humble opinion, those mountains, the symbol of these mountains is the practice. Because during pilgrimage, those who go to Hajj, to pilgrimage, they walk between these two mountains 7 times. This is why walking between these two mountains is part of the the sha'a'ir, the practices of Allah. So whether it is a symbol of a practice or it refers to a practice that God has commanded us to do, God says whoever honors the sha'a'ir, the sacred practices of God, it reflects the devotion of his or her heart, the taqwa in his heart or in his heart or in her heart. Now, brothers and sisters, sometimes people do their religious practices just to get over with, to do it, to fast it because everybody is fasting. It became a habit, or to give a charity because, you know, everybody in the mosque or in the community is giving charity, so they give charity. And same applies to prayers. But some would do these practices out of passion for it, out of respect. They love to do it. This is the difference between someone who does it, you know, just to get over with, which is okay. I mean, it's better than not doing it. And with somebody who does it because of a passion he or she has for love, for the love of doing it. Qur'an describes some of those who pray, the hypocrite, Qur'an refers to them. وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى. Those hypocrites, sometimes when they stand up for a prayer, they stand up without any motivation. They lack the energy, they lack the passion. So there is a difference between somebody does it just to get over with it and someone who does it with a great passion and love. Those who do it with passion and love, this of course reflects the level of piety in their hearts. These days, you fast because you want to please God, because you love to fast. And this reflects the level of piety, the level of taqwa in your heart. وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. All right, verse number 33. لَكُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعُ إِلَى أَجَلٍ مُسَمَّى ثُمَّ مَحِلُّهَا إِلَى الْبَيْتِ الْعَتِيقِ.
In these practices are benefits for you for an appointed term. Then their goal is the ancient house.
So these practices are not merely an act of worship. You see, the Quran has emphasized on this concept many times and in many places, that when you practice your faith, whether it is a prayer or fasting or Hajj, the Quran was very clear about Hajj, that it says when you go to Hajj, you'll witness benefits. لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. You will see benefits for yourself. And now the Quran says, لَهُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعَ. In these practices of religion, the sacred practices of religion, there is benefit for themselves. Benefits in this world, regardless of the hereafter. We are not talking about the hereafter. Of course, there will be rewards in the hereafter. But the emphasis of the Quran is on benefits in this world. And today, research have proved this benefits. Today, you may Google later, you know, the impact of prayers on physical health, let alone the spiritual health. How prayers may make the process of healing fast and easy. This already has been proven This is why in almost all hospitals, there is a department called spiritual care, because of prayers and spirituality hasten the process of the healing. It has been also proven those who attend the prayers regularly, on average, their immune system is higher than those who do not attend prayers regularly. You can Google that. This is an academic research. It's not a religious institution research. This has been done by renowned universities. So this is the benefits of these rituals. Fasting, it has been approved that it has a lot of benefits physically and spiritually as well. I can talk in this subject for hours, how these religious practices, giving charity, sadaqah, zakat, fasting, going to Hajj, has a lot of physical benefits in this world, let alone the hereafter. And it says, إِلَىٰ أَجَلٍ مُسَمَّى. Those benefits are for a period of time. We're talking about the worldly benefits. And this is very obvious, common sense. When we fast, the fasting that we observe or we practice has a physical benefits for many months until we fast the next year, inshallah. Prayers, the daily prayers we do, they empower us for the day. The charity you give every morning, it has an impact of protecting you for the day, or in the beginning of your journey or a trip, it'll protect you for the whole journey. So every single act of worship has a benefit, a worldly benefit. We're not talking about the hereafter, the rewards there for a certain time. ثم محلها إلى البيت العتيق. The end goal of all these practices is to the ancient house, to the Kaaba. What does this mean? Commentator has suggested two meanings. All our practices, for example, when we stand and pray toward the house of God, Kaaba, it is meant that this act of worship to worship God, it is meant to seek the pleasure and the satisfaction of God. So the end goal of this act of worship is to worship God, the God of the ancient house, the God of the Kaaba. This is one meaning. The ultimate goal of our worship is God, of course. The other meaning is that the Quran might refer to the sacrifices that pilgrims offer during pilgrimage, whether it is the major pilgrimage, Hajj, or the minor one, Umrah. Some people used to, in the past, and maybe even today, those who live around Mecca or near to Mecca, when they go to pilgrimage, they take the cattle with them, and then they sacrifice them on the day of Eid. It's not possible to take them if you live in Europe or in the United States or from far away. But those who live around, that they can transport, some of them, they take them with them, or they used to do so. So from their hometown, they take their camels or their sheep or their goats toward Mecca. They get benefit out of them. So let's assume it was a camel, so they would ride the camel. If it is a goat, they might use its milk until they reach Mecca on the day of sacrifice. they offer it as a sacrifice around Mecca. So those who are heading toward Hajj, they are heading toward Mecca or areas around Mecca, such as Mina and Arafat. So that's another meaning, that those cattle, they have benefits for you throughout the journey, but the ultimate goal is to reach Mecca and you sacrifice them there or in Mina, for example. So if there is no question, we move to the next verse. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ولكل أمة جعلنا منسكا ليذكروا اسم الله على ما رزقهم من بهيمة الأنعام.
And for every,
I'm sorry, just a second. فإلهكم إله واحد فله أسلموا وبشر المخبتين. Yes.
And for every nation we appointed a ritual, that they may mention the name of God over the cattle which he has given them as a provision. For you, God is only one God, so submit to him and give glad tidings to those who humble themselves.
The Quran says for every nation or followers of a tradition of faith, God has prescribed a way of a worship, practicing the worship. For every followers of faith. For example, almost all followers of all faiths, they practice prayers. However, this form of prayers could be different from one religion to another. Some religions practice fasting in a different fashion. So for every religion, there are ways of practicing that religion. And also it could means that for every followers of every religion, there is also a way of sacrificing, offering sacrifices, a cattle or something else, mostly cattle or including lamb and cows and goats. And this is what the Quran have told us, informed us. You know, the children of Adam, Cain and Abel, the Quran tells us about their story, that they offered a sacrifice. It was accepted from one, what was not accepted from the other. Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him and upon our prophet, he offered the sacrifice as well. And since then, this became a ritual for those who go to Hajj to offer a sacrifice. The sacrifice in the name of God. Of course, God does not need that. We will study later about what is the purpose of this sacrifice. But the Quran has told us that you share the meat, the product of this sacrifice, with the poor, with the needy, with the distressed. You may eat a little bit out of that as well. So the purpose is to mention the name of God. I'm sorry, to mention the name of God on while they are offering this sacrifices, and thank him for he has provided them with this cattle so they can sacrifice, eat from it, and share with others. Then it says, وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. Your Lord is one, your God is one. The God of the universe, for us Muslims, the God of the universe is one. The God of all nations and faith is one. Though somebody might say Muslims worship a different God, they call him Allah. but we believe that we all worship God. Those who worship one God, they worship the same God. And the God of the universe is one, and that's what who we worship. Then the Quran says, فَلَهُ أَسْلِمُ, submit to this one God and the only God. Submit to Him. This is the tradition that we follow from Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. He started, he is the hero of submitting to God. In many of his stories, submission to God was very obvious, very clear. And this is what the Quran also called the followers of the faith of Islam Muslims, because they submit to the will of God, following the tradition of our fathers. هو سماكم المسلمين, our father Prophet Ibrahim, who named us as Muslims, and we follow his tradition. أسلموا له, submit to the will of God, and then give glad tidings to the mukhbitin. The translation of mukhbitin in English is those who humble themselves, those who do not find themselves superior to others, those who are humble to serve others and care about others. The next verse will give us more details about who are the mukhbitin, who are those group of people that God says, give them glad tidings. Verse 35, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم والصابرين على ما أصابهم والمقيم الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Are you there, Muhammad Rada?
Yes. Those are the ones whose hearts chill when the name of God mentioned, and show perseverance over their afflictions, and keep up regular prayers, and spend in charity out of what we have given them.
So who are mukhbitin? They have these qualities. First, الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. When the name of God is mentioned, their hearts chill. Imagine somebody remembers the one he or she loves deeply, deeply, and depend on, and know that he is the source of care, the source of love, the source of all the provisions, all the blessings, all the good things in this life, in this universe. The one that they love, the moment they hear his name, of course, their hearts chill, also with a sense of being concerned about their own responsibility. Imagine you think about your loved ones, and you think, are you fulfilling your responsibility toward that loved one? Same with those people. Whenever God is mentioned, their hearts chill because of they have heard his name, because they know that he is the source of all the blessings. There are other verses in the Quran. One of them that says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Surely by the name of God, mentioning the name of God or remembering the name of God, hearts feel peace. So remembering God is a source of bringing peace to all hearts. Peace is a gift from heaven. You might not find peace on earth unless you get you get connected with God. That's to bring peace to your heart. So they remember God. When they remember God, their heart becomes full of peace and also love and care for the practices of the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالصَّابِرِينَ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَهُم. They show perseverance with things that is challenging in life, things that are difficult in life, things that they might be afflicted with. Let's take this example, the COVID-19 pandemic. Our lifestyle has changed. We are basically, the whole world, not only us, locked down. We stay at home. We only leave to buy and get what is necessary. And then we all work from home. A lot of people, this is too difficult for them. They are not used to. They get stressed, they get anxiety. Some of them, they don't care about this. They actually leave home. They go around. They don't have that patience to keep them at home. While many other citizens of this world, they know it's not easy. It's very difficult and stressful for them, for the seniors, if they have children at home. But they show perseverance. They say this could be even worse. This is the best practice. We have to be patient and let this stage pass, and then we might go out. They show really understanding and patience. Sabr, as-sabirin. This is another quality, to be patient. This is a quality of those who God describes them here as mukhbitin, people who humble themselves. وَالصَّابِرِينَ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَهُمْ وَالْمُقِيمِ الصَّلَاةِ. Those who care about the prayers. Sometimes someone prays and others care about the prayers. Somebody, imagine you have people have friends, and people also care about other friends, about their friends. This is a little bit different. Caring about your friend is that you make sure he's not upset. You make sure you respect, you give him or her the respect he or she deserves, and the responsibility toward the friends. This is what is the Quran referring about yuqimu salah, to care about their prayers, not to miss their prayers, to pray their prayers, daily prayers on time, because there is a great benefit for themselves. And then it says, وَمِمَّا يَسْوَفْ. Finally, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And they give out of what we have given them. They give that God has given those people, they share that gift with others. They have passion to serve people and share what they have, what God has given them, with others. These are the qualities of those mukhbitin that God has mentioned in the previous verse. And God says, for those giving glad tidings, the good news. The good news of what? The good news of having a successful life in this world and salvation in the hereafter. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to have these qualities, practice them in our life, and count them among mukhbitin, among those who have these qualities. Well, I come to end of the Quran study tonight. If there are any questions or comments, you are more than welcome to raise them. Oh, okay. All right. If you wanted to ask later, it's fine. Just send us a message, and inshallah, I'll do my best to answer your questions. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept your deeds and fasting, answer your prayers, and protect you all from this disease and all forms of diseases, inshallah. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to support and help those who are going through variety of challenges at this time. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم
خیلی
صل على
ممنون.
محمد وآل محمد.
خدا حافظ. سلام علیکم.
خدا حافظ.